Hello students, we're back again to our science class. For today's video, we are going to have a review on our past lessons and we're going to answer all the activities left in your book all together. So, get ready with your science book and a pen. So, are you ready? If you're ready, let's begin. On my previous videos, I have taught you about living things and their habitat, also about food chain. And we said that living things are things that are alive. For example, we have people, animals, and plants. Now, these living things need habitat where they can live and grow, just like forests, ponds, mangrove forests, rivers, deserts, and Arctic. On the other hand, we also define food chain as when organisms eat other organisms in order to live and get energy. We also learn about producers wherein we define as living things that make their own food. Okay? For examples are plants and algae. Aside from producers, we also learn about consumers wherein these are living things that do not make their own food. They live by eating other living things just like cow, just like lion, tigers, and many more. And this is an example of a food chain. So we have here the plant as the producer, the grasshopper as the primary consumer, the frog as the secondary consumer, and the snake as the top consumer, or what we call the apex predator. So these three, grasshopper, frog, and snake, are considered the consumers, and the plant is the producer. Okay, so what is an apex predator again? An apex predator is a predator at the top of a food chain. The snake is considered the apex predator because it is on top of the food chain. Now to start with our activity, open your book to page 50. Page 50. Okay, so the direction says, study the food chain and answer the questions. Study the food chain and answer the questions. Let's read all together. Mary studied the relationships between living things in a paddy field. She found out that some living things ate others for food. She drew this food chain to show what she learned. So this is the food chain that she has drawn. We have the rice as the producer, wherein the rice is eaten by the grasshopper is eaten by the chameleon, and finally, the chameleon is eaten by the snake. The snake is considered again the apex predator. Okay, so that's it. So let's start with number 1. Number 1 says, the producer is the blank. From this food chain, which among this is the producer? Can you tell me where is the producer? Is it rice, the grasshopper, chameleon, or snake? The producer is the rice. That's right, it's the rice. It's the primary producer. Now, next, the herbivore is the blank. The herbivore is the blank. Remember that herbivores are animals or insects that only eat plants. So which among these predators ate the plant? It's the grasshopper. That's right, it's the grasshopper. Now, the carnivores are the blank. Now, this is asking for the carnivores. Remember that carnivores are animals that only eat meat or other animals. So, here we have 2 carnivores. Which among these are the carnivores? Can you tell me? It's very good. It's the chameleon and snake, because the chameleon ate the grasshopper and at the same time, the snake also ate the chameleon. So they are both considered carnivores because they eat other animals. Now let's move on to number 2. which is both a predator and a prey. Which is both a predator and a prey. Predator is an animal that eats other animals, and prey is an animal that is killed or eaten by other animals. So which is both a predator and a prey? It's chameleon. Very good. It's chameleon because chameleon eats the grasshopper, but it is also eaten by the snake. So it serves as the prey and a predator. Now, which is the apex predator? Which is the apex predator? Which is on top of the food chain? It is obviously the snake. Okay, very good. It's obviously the snake. Okay, number 3. Without the rice, which will die first? Without the rice, which will die first? It's the grasshopper. Because if there's no rice, the grasshopper will have no food to eat, so it will die. Now, without the chameleon, which will increase in number? Without the chameleon, which will increase in number? So again, it's the grasshopper. Because, what is the reason why? Because there will be no predator to eat the grasshopper for food, right? If there are no chameleons, there will be no predator to eat the grasshopper, so the grasshopper will grow in number. Okay, so for number 4, if there are more chameleons, it means the number of snakes have blank. Is it increase or decrease? It will decrease. So what do you think? Why? Because there are not enough snakes to eat the chameleon, right? There are not enough snakes to eat the chameleon. For number 5, if a farmer uses chemical pesticides in this paddy field, how will it change the food chain? If a farmer uses chemical pesticides in this paddy field, how will it change the food chain? Okay, so when the grasshopper eat the rice, they will die because of the pesticide. And when the number of grasshoppers decreases, the number of chameleons will also decrease. And thus, the number of snakes will decrease as well. So, the numbers of all the predators will decrease. So that is the final answer. Now, for the final question, so when you destroy plants and animals, blank. So when you destroy plants and animals, what will you destroy too? So basically, you will also destroy the food chain in nature, right? You can pause this part if you're not yet finished, and if you're finished, let's move on to page 49, or let's get back to page 49. For page 49, it says here, find out about living things, their habitats, and their features that fit for living in their habitat. I'll repeat, find out about living things, their habitats, and their features that fit for living in their habitats. So we have 3 columns here. For the first column, we have living things. So you have to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 examples of living things. For the second column, we have the habitats, or the place where they live in. Is it in the water, on land? Is it in the mangrove forest? Is it in the desert? Or other habitats? And for the third column, we have the features of these living things. Features that fit for living in their habitats. Now for this one, I am going to give 2 examples for you to have basis. Then after that, you will do the rest. So I'm going to give, for living things, I'm going to give duck, for example. Duck is an animal and it's a living thing. Where do ducks live? They can live both on land and water, right? So what are the features of duck? They have webbed feet that help them move in water. They have webbed feet that help them move in water. So that is one example. For my second example, let's have mangrove, for example. Mangrove. Now, where can we find mangroves? Of course, we can see them on mangrove forest. Okay, so what are the features of mangroves? They have prop roots for support in the coastal areas. They have prop roots for support in the coastal areas. So I already gave 2 examples. Now it's your turn to give me 3 more examples. So to complete this one, you can go back to page 23 and 24 for your basis. Okay, page 23 and 24. Okay, so let's move on. Activity 2 says, look at the pictures, discuss the relationships between the living things and their environment. So we have here 2 pictures, a picture of sheep on a grassland and a picture of a fox in a hollow. Okay, I repeat, sheep on a grassland and a fox inside a hollow. Now, for number 1, which one is the living thing? Which one is the living thing? Is it the sheep or the grassland? Of course, it's the sheep. Very good. It's the sheep. How do we call the environment of the sheep? They are in the grassland. The grassland. And how are they linked? How are they linked? Okay. So the grassland is a source of food for the sheep. The grassland is a source of food for the sheep. Okay? Now for number 2, a fox and a hollow. Now, where is the living thing? Is it the fox or a hollow? Of course, it's the fox. And the environment of the fox is called a hollow. Now, how are they linked to each other? The hollow serves as the place for the fox, right? A hollow is a living space for the fox. Okay, and for our final activity, you can find it on page 48. Page 48, and it says there, draw a mind map, a diagram, or summarize what you have learned in this unit. Specifically, Unit 2, Lesson 1, Living Things and the Environment. You can base your drawing from your book and to what you have learned from this unit. So you can draw a simple food chain, or maybe a food web, or you can make a diagram about the relationship of living things and their environment. It's up to you on what you have learned from this unit. So this will be the end of our Unit 1. Lesson 1. Okay, so this is the end of our video. Thank you so much. Don't forget to answer all your activities and send it to the line. Have a good day and goodbye.